Hello, my name is Root66 and today I will be talking to you about the Roland SH-09. The 09 was introduced in 1979. It has 32 keys and it was only made for a few years because after I think like 1, 2, 3 years the SH-101 came along and that sort of replaced the 09. For me, the 09 has always been a perfect example of less is more. It is a super simple synthesizer. It has one oscillator, a sub-oscillator, one filter, one envelope generator for both the filter and the VCA, one LFO, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't have any arpeggiators. It doesn't have any step sequencers. Not even like the 101, a little sequencer. It has nothing. You play it by hand, or in the back it has CV and gate inputs and outputs. But that's it. And I will tell you, I've had I think I've had 3 SH-101s over the years, and this one, and I always kept the 09. I sold the 101s again. For me, they were too similar, and there's only one reason why I kept this one, and that's the sound. Because this thing has the sound of the early 70s, mid 70s, late 70s Rolands. This sounds like this is a single oscillator, but it has the sound of the Jupiter 4s, the earlier the SH, the 1000, 2000, the SH3 is a different animal. I have that, it's in the back there too. I'll do another video on that some other time. But you have this is the 09, you have the SH1, the SH2, the SH5, all those. This has that same sound. The SH101 is based on a different set of chips, of ICs, and it sounds different. Some people say more plasticky. I think that's probably also because the case is plastic and this is metal. I'm not sure I would describe the sound as plasticky, but sound is different. This is a much more full and organic sound than the 101. This can do the same sounds as the 101. The 101 cannot do the same sounds as this. And that's why I kept it, because, you know, a sequencer, especially these days, everything has sequencers and step sequencers and God knows what. So that's not... And that thing in the 101 is fun to keep, but you know, I can do without. That's you can do that with anything. What it's about is the sound, and that's what the SH-09 really does. Wide, full, nice, warm, great sounding thing. I'm going to give you a few sound examples and tell you something about all the parts here. I've had this machine for, I don't know, 20? No longer, like 25 years, I think. I bought this thing in Leiden, in a music shop that used to have all these analog synths that that nobody wanted. You can see how old this is, because that would not happen anymore. But yeah, this thing was just standing there for. I think I paid, I don't know, like one or 200 guilders at a time, so like 50 or 100 euro, say, and it's been with me ever since. It's been fixed a few times. It has a few issues. One of the main things that I changed to it is that the gate input in the back works with 10 volts normally on this thing, and what all the other stuff, also all the Roland stuff, but also the standard for CV gate, even back then, but also today, is 5 volts, not 10, and so it would not, a normal other synthesizer or sequencer with CV gate would not trigger the envelope generators. And what I had on this thing for years was a cable with a little circuit board on it that a technician I knew made for me, with a little board with a few parts on it, and a 9-volt battery, and all that stuff was just sort of hanging in the back here, and all the time that 9-volt battery was empty or whatever. It was. I mean, it worked, but it was not the optimal idea, and so I finally had it modified. And for the rest, I think it was cleaned up one time. Some of the pot meters were getting a little scratchy, but for the rest, oh, and the bend, I replaced the bender because the little handpiece was broken off. So I found another one on eBay somewhere and put that in. But for the rest, it's been trouble-free machine. It still has the range and waveform knobs. Still, they crackle a little bit, but who cares? You don't use that in the middle of a track. So I'm quite okay with that. Okay, so let's look at some of the parts of the SH-09. The SH-09's VCO. Only two waveforms. There's a sawtooth wave and there's a pulse wave. The pulse wave has two settings. There's a setting where it plays only a steady pulse, and there's a setting where the pulse width can be modulated, and then it's modulated either by hand with this slider manual, or it's modulated with the LFO, or it's modulated with the envelope generator. There's also a noise section. There's the range goes from 32 to 2, and there is you can modulate the pitch. And to be very frank, I've never understood why, because yeah, it makes for interesting siren sounds, but that's about it. I don't know. I never use that for some reason. It's more for sound effects and that kind of stuff. And, okay. So let's see. I'm playing this now through the Arturia Microfreak, because the Microfreak actually has a nice arpeggiator sequencer on it, and then I can also play some sequences. My hand playing leaves a lot to be desired. And I'm going to compare the sounds a little bit with the Moog, the Sub 37, that is here for a while. And it's sort of the same, sort of the same waveforms. Of course, it has many more features and oscillators and envelope generators, blah blah. But the basic sounds compares very well. The Moog also has a nice warm sound, but of course it is a brand new synthesizer, and this is over 40 years old by now. So you can it'll be interesting to hear what that does. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're gonna start. The outputs are closed and this output is open, so technically I should now hear. If you hear strange notes on the keyboard, that's because this thing has one of those flat. It doesn't really have keys. It's more of a touchpad, and cool as that is, for just playing simple notes, it's it's not the best. So sometimes your hand touches another one, and then okay, doesn't really matter for this thing. Anyway, here is this is the saw wave, and let's see how that saw wave sounds on the Moog. Can we turn that down a little bit? No, I can't. So I just sort of play here. Okay. Well, it's pretty similar. I always have the feeling that it sounds a bit yeah, more organic on these old machines, but maybe that's also can all be here. Okay, let's do the pulse wave. Here's the pulse wave. The pulse wave on this synth is really nice. It has a lot of power in if you go on the low end of the scale. Not all pulse waves are the same. I've talked about this in other videos before, but yeah, I really like the pulse wave on this. I'll play you my favorite pulse in another video. But this is yeah, this is definitely usable. Let's put a little chorus or something on it, and which of course the synth doesn't have, but you can do that externally. And I don't know, you can do a Mr. Fingers bass. Can you feel it? It's easy to make all those classic house basses, all that like early synth pop, Depeche Mode stuff. It's all in here. That's it will do all of that. Let's see the pulse wave with modulation. Let's turn the modulation off. First, in the beginning, it just sounds like. And then let's see. You can do, if you do it manually, you use this. And of course, my favorite is when you use the LFO. You just use a slow sine wave. Just listen to that. Just listen to that. Oh, you beauty. And this is one. This is only one oscillator. Not even the sub. The sub is still closed. Let's see how that sounds on this Moog here. Yeah, nice. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Let's do the sub oscillator here. The sub oscillator is only a pulse wave, just like most other synths. So let's go back to the saw, and then you can hear it a little better. There it is. One octave below the normal sound. Now you can immediately hear. Now listen to the difference. It gives it balls, lots of balls. So if you now do that with the pulse width sound, want a sound that fills your mix, and there it is. Yeah, this is I use this sound in many of my tracks, and this is one of the reasons why I'm keeping this thing, because yeah, like I said, there's something like an SH-01 and all those. They can do the same thing. It's the sound is nothing special, but it never sounds like that. This is such a nice, full, warm sound. It's great. Let's see. Like this. The sub oscillator can also go 2 octaves down rather than 1, and there is also a difference in which part of the pulse wave, how the pulse wave is made. So this is 1 octave down. This is 2 down with the middle setting, and this is 2 down with the lower setting. A lot of funk, 80s funk had this type of bass. A little bit of a filter in there, and there you go. Speaking of the filter, let's look at filter a little bit. I only have it open now, no resonance or anything. Let's go back to this sound. As with most synths, if you open the resonance, the volume drops immediately, but that's kind of normal. Now you have your usual cutoff resonance. There is a modulation for the filter, which of course goes back to the modulator, aka the LFO here. But there is also a switch here, which is the envelope for the filter, which envelope you are using. And there are 3 settings. The top is the envelope follower, the middle is the normal envelope, and the bottom is the reverse envelope. It took me a long time to figure this out, because of course I don't I don't read manuals. The envelope follower normally doesn't do anything. I always thought my switch was broken or something, but it turns out that the envelope follower only works if there is something plugged into the external input. The synth has an external audio input, and of course it makes sense, because what does an envelope follower do? It follows the envelope of a sound that comes in. So, duh. But hey, you are never too old to learn, so I only figured this out a few years ago, and I thought, okay. So, if you want to use that function, which is very useful because it basically gives you an extra possibility. It doesn't give you an extra envelope generator, but you can externally influence the sound that is made here with another envelope generator. For instance, you can also put a drum sound in there. You don't actually have to hear the sound itself. You don't have to have the external input open, as long as there is something coming into it where the machine will give you a it has something that it can latch onto. Then it will give you that envelope of the incoming sound. What I've done, and this is basically the classic trick of the Minimoog, is you take the output of the filter of the in this case the headphone output, and plug it into the external input, and then not only does that give it a bit more, basically you create feedback loop, and that gives it a bit more balls in the sound. But what that also does is it makes that envelope follower work. And it works then, of course, with its own envelope settings, but because they come in through this external input and all, I don't exactly know why, but it is a little different. It's not 100% different, but it's different enough so that you notice the sound, and yeah, you can play with it a lot more. See, now the setting is the envelope follower, and if I okay, if I turn it down, see, there is a big difference. And normally, if that input would not be connected, it would not do anything. Of course, it would react to the normal envelope, but as you can hear, this is quite a different sound. Of course, I get it more or less back if I push this farther up, but it is it's something more to play with, and that's always nice. And what does that sound like with that external? You basically feed the same sound back into the filter. So from here, it gives the sound a bit more. If you go above 7 or 8, you get saturation, and then if you go higher, and see, you can already hear it here. It starts to not really distort. It's more of like an overdrive sound. It can be really nice. It can just give it that little edge to a sound that it needs. But for now, let's turn it off. So that's the envelope follower. This basically gives you the envelope that you have here for the VCA, also for the filter. So then it's the same, and this slider will just tell you how much that envelope will influence the filter from not at all to 100% or setting 10. And if you do it on the bottom, you get the reverse envelope. Which of course makes the sound more normal and brighter when you turn it down rather than when you turn it up, because it's a reverse envelope. It can, if you have a normal envelope, that can also be an interesting setting to just make things a little different and a little. Because you can hear that it actually, the difference is in the release, and of course that's because the release in the reverse envelope, the release is the attack, and vice versa. Always like these kind of. They're such simple functions, but you can already do so much with this that. I don't know. Sometimes I find a lot of synths are almost overkill in their possibilities, just because there's already so much you can do with this. It's crazy. The only what would be nice about something like this, and that's of course where this shines, is that it has memories, and this doesn't. On the other hand, I always think that because this doesn't have any memories, it will make you get to know the synthesizer much better and the functions, and understand how it works, simply because you have to make a new sound every time you turn it on. with that, you just pull up one of the presets and you don't have to touch any of the knobs. And yeah, hey, with this thing, you have to make it yourself. And yeah, that's I think that's not a bad idea. Let's go, and then let's use a little modulation here. Of course, the modulation, we have a sine wave, we have a pulse wave, and we have a sample and hold, which is a randomizer. Let's give it the normal envelope again. Be a little tricky to get those sample and holds going correct. Yeah, it's good for stuff like this. Of course, then this is why you use the pitch modulation. And get these nice sort of completely random random sounds. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have the VCA with the hold function, which is kind of handy if you don't want to play keys, but yeah, okay. And there's the envelope function, and then there's the gate function, where it just it doesn't look at what the envelope generator does. It just gives you a gate signal on off, and it just plays sounds like that. The envelope generator is the same. It can be, there's a gate and trigger, a gate and an LFO that can all in turn trigger the envelope generator. Down here, there are the VCO and VCF sliders for the bender, and that determines how much the bender influences the VCO and the VCF. And there's a portamento function, and of course portamento is something that you could use in nice 303 sounds. The only problem with this portamento is this portamento does not work as soon as something is plugged into the back, like CV Gate. It only works, it's connected to the keyboard and not to the synthesizer, and so as soon as you play it externally, even with this, see, I can turn the portamento fully up, and it just doesn't do anything. And as soon as I unplug the CV Gate inputs here and play it on the keyboard, then of course then the portamento will work. So it's it's too bad, because yeah, it's one of those functions that yeah, it can just give you that little extra juice in the bass line. But I don't know if this can be modified or not. I've never it's never been that important either. So, but it is kind of a weird quirk about this synthesizer. The other interesting thing that I want to talk to you about is the modulator, the LFO, has a delay, and that's kind of you can do cool stuff with that if you want to have. You can make those bass sounds that they stay good, normal in the first, and then after 2 seconds they start wobbling. And let's see what that. Like this. Yeah, you can use that in I don't know, a lot of like a dubstep, all that kind of drum and bass. A lot of those styles use those sort of sounds. that was the basic idea of the SH-09. Let's do a little playing with the sequencer from this thing. Nice and simple. See, this is just the normal saw wave, and this is already a nice tight bass. Let's see how that sounds on the. I think we have to change a few modulation settings here as well. Go away. Let's see how does that work here. Alright, we'll just do it like this. So funny that those envelope generators on that Moog work. They work different. The settings are not the same at all, and I think it probably also has to do with the parts that they use, or if they are linear or exponential or whatever. But yeah, it's sometimes you grab a synth and the envelope generator just totally does not do what you want, and this is one of them. But you can always sort of get the same. Yeah, see with this, if I have to have the release fully open on this, and the decay sort of halfway, and here to get sort of the same sound. See where the release and the decay are, they're almost closed, and it sort of does the same thing. If I open the release all the way and the decay, you almost get a fully open sound, and that's not really what you want. And of course, yeah, the problem with this thing is that there are a lot of other settings here. I was kind of hoping it would be they would be the same, but there's other stuff going on with that thing. But yeah, I let you hear the basic sound of the oscillators, and that's more or less the same. They do a good job with that. That's a nice organic sound as well. But for me, this is this is the classic one, and that's a big difference. Let's see. I remember in some of my old records, I did make acid tracks with this one. I do remember it is tricky. It is tricky because of the acid with the 101 or with something like a 202. is easier, because there is a sweet spot where you set that the resonance and the cutoff, and you get something. It starts doing that bubbly, squelchy thing, and that's fairly easy to find on a 101. On this thing, it is for some reason it's harder to find. It's easier for the resonance to go too high, or you don't hear it at all, or it just doesn't sound right. And you can hear a little, it's going a little bit here. Turn that modulation off a little bit. That's too much already. You want to be what I always call, you want to be in the bubble zone, where it sounds like bubbling water. That's the kind of acid sound that I always like out of these machines. So yeah, it's not a real 303, but you know, we all know how a real 303 sounds, and these days if you want something that sounds like a 303, you buy those Behringer clones, and that's you're good. This is a little different. It's a little more difficult to get that sound, but you also have more possibilities. So, and of course, what also counts is how your envelope setting here works. You hear it. Anyway, you can do lots of cool stuff with that, and of course you can also just this is how the sub sounds. Listen to how that sub sounds. That is so nice. Yeah, super cool machine. I'm not sure I could say it's one of my favorite synths, because my favorite synth would have a million times more features than this. But on the other hand, if I really think about it, it is one of the workhorses of my studio. This thing is in practically every track that I've made in the last 20 years or so. It always does something, and one of the things I like to do is double and triple parts. So a lot of times I will just send this bass notes, just kind of like this, just do an octave bass, and then at the same time send it to the pulse one, and then at the same time also send it to something else, and then they all play a slightly different pattern and then mix them. But if you want to go for the you know the bam part, yeah, then you just go for this, and it's just, yeah, it's such a nice sound. It's yeah, this is I I use it a lot. It's I love it. Should you buy one of these? Actually, yes, I think so, because these are still relatively cheap, because they are so basic, and a lot of people sort of discount them as it's the smaller brother of. The ones you need are the SH-5 and the SH-7, and there is a bigger version of this with two oscillators. That's all true. You need those, and those are much cooler than this, except they're also way more expensive than this. Something like that SH's. I think that's the 7 with the sloping. That looks like the MS-20. That thing is over 2,000 euro if you can find one, and the 09 is by far the easiest to find. They made, I don't know how many they made, but there's a lot of these. You see these on a regular basis. You see them for sale on a regular basis, and you know, you don't really have to look for them. You can find them for I don't know, what do they go for, like between 500 and 1,000 euros, sort of in that range, depending on the quality and how well it's been kept. But in that range, you can find one, and I don't know what SH-101s do. I think they're sort of in that same area now. They used to be a bit more expensive, but then that Behringer clone came, and there's a little bit more choice these days for synths like that. But yeah, so they're not. Yeah, of course you can buy lots of other mono synths that are a lot cheaper, new mono synths. But yeah, this does have a certain vintage mojo, and not just in how it looks and how it plays, but definitely also in the sound. I've used a lot of new analog monos, and I have several, and they are not the same. They're close, but they're not the same thing. And yeah, it's nice to have something like that, but at the same time, like I said, I don't think I would pay, you know, shitloads of money for it if I just wanted that sound. If I was a collector, sure. You know, you want to have the complete SH range, then yeah, of course, you're going to buy them all. But that's not, this is for people that want to get into that early SH, Roland SH sound. This is by far, I think, the most cost-effective way to do that. And yeah, like I said, there's lots of them around. They've always been kind of the cheapo version of the range, but yeah, hey, I think it's a great synth, and if you find one, yeah, buy it, because yeah, you'll have lots of fun with it. That's for sure. I sure did. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, and I should of course tell you to I should of course tell you to subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot more videos coming from all this other stuff you see here. It all depends on time. That's basically the limiting factor here. So I will slowly but surely I will add videos. Anyway, this is the SH-09. I will give you a few more sound examples. I will play a little bit more, and this was it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Goodbye.